Dix, the musical. I'm still reviewing films from 2024, and this is one of them. Such a pleasant surprise. It's an A24 film, which means likely the A24 army has seen it as part of their decision to watch everything A24. Um, but I just like music theater, and that's why I had no idea this was based on a previous property. I just thought this was going to be silly gay nonsense, and that's kind of what I got. It's based on it's based on the musical Fucking Identical Twins, written by Josh Sharp and Aaron Jackson, who both also star in this. There's no way to not laugh through this because it is so silly. It's also really edgy and raunchy, and it's absolutely trying to piss you off. I mean, this is a musical that it's like it wants to offend those who think they cannot be offended. Like, I was laughing, and even at a certain point, I was like, guys, it's a bit much. it's, it's, it's a bit much. I understand from my limited research that these guys are part of the Upright Citizens Brigade, and that's part of probably why the music is hilarious, and the jokes in here are just funny as this is the funniest film that I've seen of 2023. I was laughing so many times at the most random things. It's like watching an Adult Swim cartoon come to life. It's so random. It is. Some of this stuff here is so random, and it's done so well with a lean towards humor. Um, they play Josh and Aaron play Chris and Trevor, who are supposedly identical twins. I have no idea how close these guys even look to each other, but they're so dumb that they work at the same company. They don't even notice that they're in this like weird situation. They sing this big opening number about how awesome their lives are, and they go to work, and they work to be the top seller of whatever they sell. I don't know, wickets or widgets or something, or wrenches or brushes or some nonsense. And they have a boss who is played by Megan Thee Stallion, and she does get a song here that I do believe she wrote for the musical. So she wrote it in the style of the musical with the musical in mind, but I think it's original to this. It's not in Funky Identical Twins. I can't believe I have to say that every single time. The algorithm on this video is just going to be absolutely terrible. um, so yeah, so Colin and Trevor finally they sort of connect the dots in a hilarious song. I just every time I think about these moments, they're great. They have a hilarious song where they connect the dots, and it gets down to they're like, nobody understands me but me, and then they're like listing off all the things in their life. They're like identical, right down to the last minute, and the very moment of their birth is separated by like 1 minute. Like, I was born on, and they're like, wait, what? That's too many coincidences. I don't know. It's just, this is not for everybody. Very much so. This is for like 10% of the population that's going to like it and not be offended by it. There's two things that have to happen. There are people who think this stuff is funny, and then there are people who also are likely to not be offended by it or by most of it, because it is raunchy as ever loving hell. This is something I wouldn't watch with a family member, not just a parent, not just a grandparent or a child. I would feel weird watching this with a cousin. Like, I don't want people to know that we've watched this together. This is something I just like. It's not that I feel dirty. It's just like I don't want to know what someone else thinks or doesn't think about this movie. I just want us to all live in a bubble where a lot of us have seen this and it's a great inside joke. And some of us can just make inside jokes from this and we'll just live our lives happy. And I'm good with that. It's so not for everybody. It does have audio description, which is awesome. And the audio description comes in so, so clutch in certain scenes to highlight the fact that they are not trying very hard, that they are intentionally not trying very hard at all, and certain things are framed certain ways. This is the most sort of oddly enough the most sort of like intentionally directorial stuff that I've gotten out of some narration. There's a shot where they're both going into the same apartment, and it actually mentions that you can see the production lighting, so it looks like they're on a stage, basically. So they're not trying to hide the fact. They're not trying to bring in immense amount of value, theatrical value to this film. I'm sure it was done on the cheap. And later on, they're sitting in their apartments next to each other with their backs up against the same wall. So like that's a cool shot to think of. So I like hearing stuff like that in the narration, but I love the fact that they pointed out that you can see the production lights, because that's something that we didn't necessarily need to know, but it was great because it let us know how the film was being shot. And that's kind of what I've been trying to lean on a little bit more, is if we can get more things like that, then we might be able to start getting a lot of these specific choices that directors who have their own clear style, like a Wes Anderson, we might be able to start being able to sort of quantify what it is that makes them them. But this is hilarious, and it's got a great supporting cast. And Nathan Lane and Megan Mullally are genius. Nathan Lane's having a great year. He was great in Beau is Afraid. Now he's hilarious in this. His song is so great. His song is hilarious and nonsensical, and I loved it. And then like everything his character says, he's such a class act actor, and he just deadpans the best lines. I don't know what he thought when he read this script, or when I don't know how he got into this film, but I love the fact that he's in it. I love the fact that Megan Mullally is doing this, and she's got a voice. The funny thing about Megan is that her voice is so unique and distinct that when you hear it, you're like, that's Megan Mullally. But here, she's doing something different with her voice, which actually kind of distorts it a little bit, and it makes it a little bit harder to immediately go, that's Megan Mullally? Wow, kudos. And her performance is ridiculous. Her character is just absurd. The things that she has to say and do are just I got nothing. Bowen Yang plays God, and because of course he does, and it's some of it is funny. He gets kind of into like as the movie progresses towards the end, we get sort of into the, I wonder how many people, like in a theater, I wonder how many people walked out. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I wonder how many people stayed for a while, because at the beginning it's kind of tame. It's a little raunchy, but it's kind of tame, you know? And then as the movie progresses, it kind of kicks into high gear. It's not a very long movie. So, you can start kind of feeling where it's going, and then by the end, it is just, it's there. And I think this is a movie that will absolutely offend people. And that's fine. Movies are not for everybody. I didn't take it seriously. I didn't even like all of the jokes, but some of the jokes were so funny. I rarely laugh out loud anymore in cinema. I feel like so many of the comedies are just aimed at streaming service audiences, and they're just sort of these like down the middle of the road jokes, and we rarely ever get edgy comedies. So I'm so appreciative when I get something like this, or Strays or Bottoms, that just kind of, I don't know, make me laugh. It's weird because I have a top 10 list right now as I'm doing this of my favorite comedies of 2023, and Guardians of the Galaxy is on there. That's not even really straight up a comedy, but that's where 2023 is at in terms of comedy, is that Guardians is one of my 10 funniest films I saw last year, when it's more of a sci-fi action and really has some deep emotional moments to it, but it made me laugh more than a lot of other comedies that were intentionally trying to be comedies. So I appreciate that this was a comedy trying to be a comedy that legitimately made me laugh, and it's just so silly. It's very parent trappy. They're just doing the Parent Trap here, by the way, in case you're just wondering what the plot of the movie. It's just the Parent Trap. Um, and Nathan Lane and Megan Mullally are great. Bowen Yang's in this, Megan Thee Stallion. Some other people pop up, like Nick Offerman pops up later in the film, just kind of like in a small role, because of course he did. I'm sure he was like, well, Megan's doing it, I guess I'll do it too, you know. I'll follow my wife into this weird film. But yeah, kudos to, I wonder what this looked like on stage. They have some clips and stuff at the end. The credits have a lot of random outtakes and stuff, and they were entertaining like the whole way through. I so many times as a blind film critic, when I'm trying to wait for who did this narration, and I'm sitting through like dead silence. I hate the companies that totally tap out of narration during the credits. It bothers the shit out of me. Honestly, the good middle ground seems to be tell me who was in the cast and tell me what the songs were. That seems to be what I get a lot. I get like the couple top of the line people right at the end, like directed by, written by, produced by, like those kinds of people. And then when it gets to the scroll, it reads cast, and then it reads the songs that were in the thing, and like the soundtrack. So that seems to be like a pretty good medium. I have heard the entire thing read before, but that scroll has to be scrolling really slow to do that, and not every film scrolls that slow. Uh, Nobody reads that fast to read every single name, and I've heard it maybe once or twice where I'm hearing stuff and I'm hearing names, and I'm like, my God, we're in the weeds here. I just found out who the gaffer was. You know, I'm just like, wow. um, so, but to have the outtakes through the credits just made it a much more enjoyable experience. I don't know, guys. I'm really high on this. The only thing is, I have to say that it's a little bit. It's just a little bit too much. I feel like, but then again, I watch so many things where it goes just a little bit too far. South Park does that all the time. It's probably a great comp here. Is there have been times where South Park goes there and you're like, guys, I don't know if you should go there. Guys. Train Matt, pull it back a little bit, now back. And honestly, so does their musical. Book of Mormon has some stuff in there. Hasadika Ibawai. And it's funny how long Book of Mormon has been running, you know, just with Hasadika Ibawai. I'm like, we have that many people who are willing to see this movie and sit through that, because once you learn what that means and what they're singing about, I would think people would walk out. And I would say that there's kind of like a similar moment at the end of Dix, and I think people are going to kind of, I don't know. I don't know, but I don't think this one was for everybody, but I loved it. I don't know if that helps. I don't think it does. Audio description was great, obviously, because it pointed out all of the things, and I don't want to spoil the jokes, but there's so many random jokes here, and the audio description hits them, and I love it. So I'm a big fan of this film, even if I'm not giving it an A. It's like in my heart and my soul, could still end up in my top list and end of the year list, somewhere close, maybe as an honorable mention. But wow, yeah. I know it has a 5 point something on IMDb, but that's only because this is so divisive. And sometimes divisive films, they will never get high, but they will also never get that low because they're gonna have fans, and this is the kind of thing that could have a cult following behind it 10 years from now. So that will continue to fight for it and pull it up in the ranks. Um, anyway, so I'm gonna give Dix the musical an A minus. I'm very grateful that this exists, and I'm so happy that I rented it. It's like best $5 spent. Just loved it. I did not know what to expect, and I am filled with laughter. So thank you, and to you guys, please click subscribe because I'm above 200 now, and I'm on my way to something else. I don't know what that's going to be, but I want to talk about audio description in front of the largest audience possible. So I got to keep moving forward. I did hit my year-end goal, which was amazing, and thank you for that. And I have a website, macthemovieguy.com. You can follow me on X Threads or Instagram at macthemovieguy. You can go to the audio description project, adp.acb.org. It'll let you know what has audio description and where you can watch it. And you can go to the ADNA.org. That's the ADNA.org. It'll let you know who's narrating your favorite films and television series. That's it for me today. I will review something else and see you guys on the other side.